Hi everyone, Professor Elam here. I wanted to do just a quick mini lecture over the discussion topic that is due on Sunday at midnight. So it's about American Express, and American Express was selling life insurance. So I'm not sure how many of you have read this as of yet. Um, but what I thought was really interesting about it was this class has almost everything to do with um, the emotional side, the human side of dealing with people. So when you're dealing with people, like what they were doing at American Express, they were selling life insurance. So this is a very emotional thing to sell. So you're asking people to buy life insurance for themselves. So now you have to deal with your own mortality, or for someone they love. So now they have to deal with the thought of losing a loved one. And their negative emotions started to wear on the sales force. So the people that were selling it were like, oh my gosh, this is so hard to sell. It got the negative emotions started really getting to the salespeople, and the sales started going down. So when the sales started going down, management came in and they took like a really aggressive stance, and they were like, we don't care. You need to get the sales up. Well, that isn't going to work, especially now. So, in an effort to better understand the barriers between customers and salespeople, Kate Cannon came in, and she was a former American Express staffer. And she was also a mental health administrator. And she used a technique called emotional resonance. And emotional resonance helps employees work through their feelings about their job. So it was looking at the problem from an emotional point of view. So what they were doing is they were teaching empathy. Put yourself in the shoes of those people, to better understand what their negative emotions are all about. So don't take this hard line, hard stance, cold approach with them, sales approach with them, but actually put yourself in their shoes and try to understand their negative emotions. And they also had to understand that these negative emotions were barriers, big barriers to life insurance sales. So, the negativity was doing nothing to increase sales. In fact, sales were plummeting. So, what happened is management's focus on sales had created like an emotional disconnect. So, people were not um, connecting with the customer. They were seeing them as a number, and that was because that is what management was pushing. So the emotional gap between their words and their true feelings only increased the distress that they were feeling. Like, wow, this is such an emotional thing, and yet I'm having to push for this sale when I wish I could have more emotional awareness. So Kate Cannon came in and she instituted an emotional awareness program that significantly impacted American Express's bottom line for the better. So what happened is the sales representatives, who looked at their job from the customer's point of view, really flourished. Their feelings and their words were in harmony. They weren't just talking the talk, they were walking the walk. So clients trusted them. And then the trust between those more openly emotional sales representatives that put themselves in their clients' shoes, they had greater sales, greater job satisfaction. So those emotional skills training actually increased job satisfaction. And as you've probably learned by now in this course, job satisfaction leads to higher productivity. So I thought it was really interesting that we were looking at this discussion, and I really like this discussion because, like I said, it has almost everything to do with this class. So it's important for you, as future executives of the world, to make sure that you lead people so that you teach people that you lead to put themselves in the shoes of their customers, to have empathy, to connect with people, People like to do business with people they like. And in order to like you, there has to be trust. There has to be that feeling of, I trust you, I understand you, and we can work together. And that's what this emotional awareness training was teaching the sales representatives. You need to be able to emotionally connect with these people because emotional connection creates trust. And that's even true, between you and your employees. That emotional connection creates trust. And when people have that, they are more likely to enjoy their job. They're more likely to buy things. They're more likely to be a repeat customer. They're more likely to be productive. So there's a huge, huge connect between our emotional well-being about our job and feeling that our job is valued and feeling that we are valued as an employee and what we sell is of value to other people and the bottom line. Okay. And then really quick. So the purpose of these discussions is to facilitate a conversation. So I know in the directions I say, 50 to 100 is the minimum word response. By all means, that's the minimum word response. I want this to be a facilitated conversation. I don't want you just to say, I agree with you, but I want you to, interweave what your classmates have said into your responses. This would be, if we were in a classroom together, this would be a conversation we would be having in a classroom. But since we're not, you're having this conversation on Canvas through the discussion board. So that's why I want you, to make sure that you are interweaving and understanding what your classmates are and you're providing for them, um, you know, true reflection and true opinion of what it is that they're saying or what they have said. So it's, again, it's a conversation that you're having online that you would normally have in a classroom. Okay, I'm here. All of you have my phone number, and let me know if you have any questions or concerns about anything at any time. Always feel free to call or text me.